Europeans to make this work. From a Pan-African point of view, based on what is happening in Ukraine and how it concerns us as a people and as a nation and as a continent, in 1884, when the Europeans came together to auction Africa in an auction sale among themselves, Russia was not part of it, China was not part of it, and these sales were done among the Europeans, and they break down Africa into 54 nations. In 1945, they came together not because they loved themselves, but because they have set aside their differences in which they were fighting among themselves before, because they have seen such interest over Africa, and they decided to come together on the basis of the interest in which they had seen in Africa and to protect the agenda in 1884. So the United Nations was not built to build unity among all member states or to push in the right to self-determination, was to protect the interests of the agenda of the 1884 at the detriment of the African people by not giving African veto seat at the level of the UN National Security Council, because Africa was a subject matter. So when they came together in 1945 was to start building strategies on how they were going to build in governments that were going to run all of these 54 nations, which they have broken down, they break down it into 54 nations, balkanization, with an intention to run this nation as businesses and as private state-owned companies by using Africans. And how were they going to do it? The only system to do that was to push in democracy, which always gets the majority from a minority group. That means that they were going to select a handful of people who were going to run Africa like a private state-owned company on the behalf of the imperialists at the detriment of the African people. And that's why we have realized that leadership in Africa has always been very, very challenging, because we have never had leaders who were going to protect the interests of the African people. They were all assassinated. So the Africa was made in such a way that it was to protect the interests of the Europeans. So Russia was not to involve in the self-determination of Africa. China was not supposed to involve in the self-determination of Africa. They can do business in Africa, but they should not involve, because Africa belongs to the Europeans and the Americans. So they had gone into the business of running government, sponsoring government, building government through democracy in Africa to protect their existing treaties and agenda in 1884. That is why Africa, it is the way it is today, because it is the Europeans and the Americans that are exploiting Africa, and it's 85% of its human resources and both natural resources are being exploited both by the Europeans. So by Africa today has now become an economy which is only run in the hands of few people at the detriment of the masses. So when Russia was brought in here by Assimi Goïta to protect the interests of their rights to pursue self-determination in Mali, that was a huge blow to the Europeans, and that was not an agreement which they had with the Russians. So they used the Ukraine now as a strategic point to expand the NATO network there to build in a base that threatens the sovereignty of the Russian, because Russia has encroached in Africa by taking France away from the Sahel region, which Mali is a deal. Do not forget the richest man of the world came from Mali, Mensa Moussa. Mali is endowed with great resources. The Sahel region, 433 million tons of bauxite was recently found about 3 years ago in Mali. 703 tons of gold was about 1.5 years ago found in Mali, making Mali, according to the UN statistics, that Mali the second bauxite, second gold reserve. Mali is the first. The first has always been in Africa. The statistics of the United Nations are never true. So that's exactly what is happening in Ukraine today. Assimi Goïta was the only leader that was able to cause the imperialists to fight among themselves. Our attitude towards any nation or towards anyone is going to be based on their attitude towards the right for us to pursue a right to self-determination. And Russia has proven to us its loyalty to stand with the African people to pursue that right at the detriment of the Europeans, whereby they are fighting among themselves while we are going free. So our unity is going to be based on their disunity, and their unity has been based on our disunity. So this is the position in which we are facing today in Ukraine, only because Russia has encroached in their market. And so they've decided to expand the NATO network to Ukraine, and that is a resistance. Thank you very much.